Yeah. No, it was, it was a lot of things. It was the little boy that watched his father beat up his mother. It's all of that just bubbled up in that moment.
The Will Smith Oscar slap happened almost 1 year ago, and you would think that after all that time, the drama would eventually fade away and be over and done with. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, because that is the furthest thing from what's going on at the moment. After keeping us in the dark for almost a full year after the incident, we might finally have the answer as to why he got up from his seat that one night to discipline Chris Rock with the palm of his hand. Apparently, a lot of the built-up rage that led to Will slapping Chris in the first place came from the abusive past that he has lived through with his father. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just another excuse he is bringing to the table to finally get past the whole slapping drama. But maybe, just maybe, it's time for us to finally hear out his side of the story, because it might just be the answer we've all been looking for. But before we get into today's video, please give it a like and hit the subscribe button to never miss out on another video. It really helps me grow the channel so I can bring you the hottest tea every week. As it turns out, Will Smith's backstory is much more complicated than anybody realized. Will has previously spoken out about his dad and how his actions from the past tend to have an impact on Will's life on a day-to-day basis. Prior to the release of his biography on November 9th, people had exclusive access to an extract from the 53-year-old actor's memoir. Smith reveals heartbreaking family secrets, including a horrific event involving his late father, Will Sr., that left him emotionally damaged. So much so that it might have been the trigger that led to the slap. Smith explains the tense dynamic he had with his father, William Carroll Smith Sr., who, along with Smith's mother, Caroline Bright, raised Smith and his 3 siblings in Philadelphia. My father was violent, but he was also at every game, play, and recital. He was an alcoholic, but he was sober at every premiere of every one of my movies, he writes. He listened to every record. He visited every studio. The same intense perfectionism that terrorized his family put food on the table every night of my life. Smith claims that his life was irrevocably altered by seeing his father commit an act of violence against his mother. My father punched my mother so severely in the side of the head when I was 9 that she fainted. Blood was spilling out of her mouth, and I saw it. More than anything else, the events that occurred in that bedroom have shaped who I am now. The actor's whole life and career would be affected by the trauma he experienced there. In his own words, "Everything I've accomplished since then has been a series of subtle apologies to my mother for my inactivity that day, from the prizes and honors to the focus and attention, the characters and the laughter, because I let her down at the wrong time, for not having the courage to confront my father, for being a coward." Wow, now that's some powerful stuff. We can only imagine the pain and guilt this man is going through this day and the inner battles he must be fighting. He also says, "What you know as Will Smith, the alien-destroying MC, the bigger-than-life movie star, is primarily an invention, a carefully built and perfected role, meant to protect me, attempting to keep myself hidden from the outside world in order to keep the coward under wraps." This just goes to show how a toxic past can affect people, not just the moment of experiencing it, but even years or decades later. Now, this is some pretty heavy stuff, but there's more. Things got so bad that Will Smith even admitted that he has thoughts about hurting his dad to take revenge for what his dad did to his mom. As I carefully rolled him from his bedroom to the toilet one night, a shadow fell over me. The connecting corridor for these 2 rooms passes close to the head of the stairwell. Even when I was a kid, I knew I would get even with the people who had wronged my mom. I promised myself that I would kill him as soon as I felt confident enough to do it. Smith remembers having the thought to murder his father at that same time. At the top of the stairwell, I stopped. If I wanted to, I could easily get away with pushing him down. He said that as the decades of grief, fury, and contempt coursed and then vanished, he shook his head and rolled Daddy-O to the restroom. Since Will Sr.'s death in 2016, Smith has thought a lot about the lessons he and his father shared about life and happiness. The actor also said that he and his father have always had a good connection, but that his resentment over the episode from their childhood resurfaced while he was caring for Will Sr. when he was diagnosed with cancer, and how it keeps on affecting his life. So it looks like all that pent-up trauma and anger from his childhood often comes to the surface, and what we saw at the Oscars might have only been one instance of it. While speaking about the slap on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Will Smith revealed he was feeling anger at the time. He said,
my nephew, Dom, is 9, and he is the sweetest little boy. He's like, we came home, and it's like he had stayed up late to see his Uncle Will, and we're sitting in my kitchen, and he's on my lap, and he's holding the Oscar, and he's just like, "Why did you hit that man, Uncle Will?"
Now, we can only imagine how guilty Will must have felt in that moment, especially since on that day, he had become the one thing that Will sought out and vouched to never turn into: his father. Will continued to pull out a box of Kleenex, stared at Noah, and said,
It was a mess, I don't want to go too far into it to give people more to misunderstand. There's many nuances and complexities to it, but at the end of the day, I lost it, I was going through something that night, and not that justifies my behavior at all. It was a lot of things. It was the little boy that watched his father beat up his mother. It's all of that just bubbled up in that moment. That's not who I want to be. I was gone, dude. I was gone. That was a rage that had been bottled for a really long time.
Right. In addition to getting into his family's disappointment, Will addressed the negative repercussions his outburst at the Oscars had on his co-stars and directors in his most recent movie, Emancipation. Smith said,
"The thing that is so critical for me is that, these people came and they trusted me and they were down for me. And, I hope that their work will be honored and their work will not be tainted based on, a horrific decision on my part."
So the man realized how his one impulsive action didn't just lead to many people all over the world being disappointed, but also that it had an effect on his professional life and the people that surround him. After Noah said that he didn't want Smith to be known for his greatest mistake, Smith spoke about the biggest thing he had realized in recent memory.
That I had to forgive myself for being human, and it's like, trust me, there's nobody that hates the fact that I'm human more than me. I've always wanted to be Superman. I've always wanted to swoop in and save the damsel in distress, and I had to humble down, and realize that I'm a flawed human, and I still have an opportunity, to go out in the world and contribute in a way that fills my heart and hopefully helps other people.
And with that being said, we've come to the end of the video. What do you think about Will's recent epiphany that his dad's abuse is the real reason he violently attacked Chris Rock? And is that really an excuse for Will to be forgiven? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video, smash the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.